What if I told you guys that mastering the forehand and backhand in paddle is way easier than you might think? There are these 6 most common mistakes that not just beginners but also intermediate to advanced players make that is holding them from just having a solid forehand and backhand in their game. So in today's video, I want to show you guys these 6 different mistakes, and we're gonna go one by one, like day 1, day 2, day 3, so that you guys can practice them. Just isolate the movement in a day so that you guys just practice that one mistake in a day. Because I think it's very important that we isolate the move before we try to fix everything all at once, because that can overwhelm us, especially if we're new to the game and if we're beginners. It's way better to isolate a movement, practice in a game, in practice matches, just that isolated movement that I'm going to explain, and at the end we can put them all together and have a perfect forehand and backhand. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we get started with the mistakes, we got to make sure we're holding the racket in the right place. And the way to do that is that a lot of players hold the racket like this, and then they have to turn their whole wrist around in order to hit the ball. Make sure you hold the racket in the continental grip. This is called the continental grip, which means that it's facing right in front of you, that your thumb is slightly over your index finger and your pinky is just a bit over the bottom. So that is how we want to hold the racket. Mistake number 1 is looking up when we're hitting the ball. This is something that happens a lot as more we play, because we think we don't need to look at the ball because we think we know what we're doing, or we're looking at our opponents, and which is, yes, we need to look at our opponents to know where we want to place the ball, but as we're making contact with the ball, it's very important that our vision is at the ball instead of looking up to see our opponents and then hitting the ball at the same time. So make sure that you keep your head down. A good exercise to do is to keep your chin close to your chest as you're hitting the ball throughout the whole movement, and until after, as the ball's going to the other side, then you can lift your head to see the play happen. But very important, while you're hitting the shot, do not lift your head. Mistake number 2 is not rotating the hips and shoulders at all. What can happen a lot of times when we're lazy is that we kind of just sit straight, we don't move the legs, and we just kind of swing with the racket next to us and not rotate our shoulders, not rotate our hips at all. This is very important because it's very hard to generate strength and placement and have the placement on the shot if we're not rotating with it. If we're trying to hit it straight on facing the other side of the court, it is really uncomfortable for us to hit power on that shot, because we're going to have to be using a lot more wrist, and we're not going to use our whole body in order to hit the shot. So very important. I know in very difficult balls, is it acceptable if you don't have enough time to turn to just hit it kind of leaning on one leg without turning? But if you have the time to turn in any situation, whether it's with glass or without, it's very important that you turn your shoulders, turn your hips, and rotate with the ball as you're hitting it. Moving on to mistake number 3 is using too much wrist in your shot. A lot of times, especially for players that come from tennis, is that in tennis you would use a lot of wrist movement because that's what you would use to create the top spin, to create the slice, in order to give a different effect on the ball. But in Padel, we do not really want to be doing that, because one, giving topspin is just going to let it bounce back further from the glass, which your opponents just get an easier ball afterwards. And moving the wrist makes us lose more control, so we just want to be hitting more flat. So make sure you do not move your wrist almost never when hitting forehands or backhands from the back. Make sure you are hitting the ball flat, making flat contact with the balls, and that it goes over with no effect at all. This is how you're going to hit balls for 99% of the shots, so it's very important you practice just hitting flat on the ball. Number 4, 5, I forgot which one we're on, but this is giving yourself space to swing. And this one is very important on the footwork. It's very important to know what your feet are doing, to stand besides the ball, not stepping way too far or being way too close to the ball, but that you are a good, not arm's distance away, even a bit less than arm's distance, just right next to you, that your elbow can leave your hip just a little bit without having to stretch too far or be too close. A little bit of separation is the sweet spot for where you want to have the space to swing. You always want to hit next to you and always want to hit a little bit in front of you. So make sure you always give yourself the space to swing, and your forehand and backhand will improve dramatically. Mistake number 6 is having a late preparation. It's very important that as soon as our opponents hit the ball and we can see if it's coming to our forehand or backhand, that we get into the position of how we're going to hit it as soon as possible. And this is even more true with the glass. It's very important that we turn our shoulders to the backhand, turn our shoulders to the forehand as soon as the ball is coming our way. Because if we do that at the last minute while the ball is in front of us, we're gonna see that we're gonna have to go back quickly and then go forward even quicker, and then we lose all of our precision or control on that shot. So if we want to have control before we hit the shot, as soon as we know what side the ball is going to come to us at, we're turning the shoulders, we're putting the racket back, and we're getting ready to swing with time. The last most common mistake that beginner and even intermediate and advanced players do is just not having the right contact point at the right time. A lot of the times players either grab the ball way too in front of them or really far back. And the sweet spot is, like I already mentioned, in the having space to swing, is that you just want to hit it a little bit in front of you. So imagine it's right next to you, a little bit forward, and that is the sweet spot you want to hit the ball every single time. If it's just in front of you, or if you're playing with the glass. So we went over the 6 most common mistakes that padelers make in their forehands and backhands. If you can practice these mistakes and make sure they're not coming up in your game, your forehands and backhand will be elite, and you're going to be hitting them with confidence. And that is my whole point with making this video. After you practice everything isolated, maybe there's one thing that sticks out for every player or two that they struggle with a little bit more. So make sure you give time to the mistake you're struggling with, to just repetition in games or in practice, to just focus on that one thing and make sure that gets better. And that is how we improve. Once we feel that everything is leveled up, we can start putting them all together and practice just hitting a backhand and forehand more smoothly in matches. Now that we're hitting more solid forehands and backhands, it's time to level our game up tactically, mentally, and physically. If you guys want more videos on how we can do that, let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe if you liked the video, if one of these mistakes was a eureka moment to you. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.